This is JC Setting the Record Straight podcast. I'm your host, JC. On this channel, we set the record straight. That means we fact check and correct commonly believed misinformation and propaganda. I just want to do a quick little follow-up to my last live stream about the anima and the animus. Because in my live stream, I was trying to present the information in an objective manner. I realized that there's a gender war going on and everyone wants to blame either the men or the women, but I was trying to avoid doing that because I've already covered it in a previous video. But there are some latecomers, I guess I need to explain that again. First of all, I wasn't blaming black men for not being in touch with their feminine side. I explicitly said that a boy's anima is based on his view of his mother. So a boy's anima can be either negative or positive, and it's based primarily on how he has been treated by his mother. Now, as the mother, her role is to provide the nurturing and the support, the empathy, and all those other feminine traits that I described in my last live stream. But the problem is that many women, black women specifically, have developed a negative animus. So they are taking on the masculine role and they're displaying it in a toxic manner. Now, I'm not trying to blame black women because I realize that with absentee fathers that they're having to play both roles. So I don't really know whose fault it is, but everyone wants to put blame on someone. Rather than looking at it in an objective manner and coming up with solutions. Now, the feminine side is not supposed to play the role of the disciplinarian. Unfortunately, because of the state of the black community, black women are put in a position to play the role of the disciplinarian, and they're not able to effectively nurture. Now, we keep hearing about black men being coddled, and that's why they're so degenerate, but that's actually not true. The reality is that black boys are not coddled enough. They're not getting enough nurturing. So I've already explained this, so I'm not going to go into detail. Maybe I need to repost the previous video that I did about this. But basically, when boys don't get enough nurturing from their mothers, they remain in a perpetual state of boyhood. They never progress into manhood. It's also called the Peter Pan syndrome. When boys don't receive sufficient nurturing from their mothers, they continue seeking nurturing even as adults. Now, this is my personal opinion, so you can take this with a grain of salt. In my opinion, not being properly nurtured can cause a child to develop narcissistic personality disorder. Now, I've previously shared this video from Dr. Ramani. She was talking about the push and pull that children experience when they're being nurtured, but only for reasons that objectify them. So basically, they're only being nurtured when the child serves the needs of the parents or the child makes the parent look good. Now, you can say that these children are being coddled, but they're being coddled for the wrong reasons. So yes, it is true that the mother plays a more impactful role in the development of children, especially boys. We keep hearing about how women are gods because they create life, and that's fine. However, that role does not end with childbirth. Creating life extends well beyond childbirth. In a state of nature, children would be nursed by their mothers. And for those who don't know what I mean by nursing, I'm referring to breastfeeding. In a state of nature, children would still be dependent on the mother's nurturing as a natural part of childhood development. Before the advent of formula, babies had to be breastfed. As such, they were being nurtured while they were being fed. Moreover, that process allowed the babies to attach to their mothers, and vice versa. Now, I could make a separate video discussing the important role of breastfeeding in childhood development. However, my point is that the necessity of breastfeeding made it so that nurturing could not be avoided. When it comes to feminine and masculine energy, the goal is for there to be balance. So if a mother is taking on the masculine role, the result is that the boy will respond in a feminine manner. And oftentimes that femininity is going to be toxic. The boy is going to develop a negative anima. Conversely, if a mother raises her son in a feminine manner, the boy is more likely to develop a positive anima and take on a masculine role. So whichever role the mother takes on, the boy is going to display the opposite, whether it be masculine or feminine. However, the feminine role is far more crucial for childhood development than a masculine role. Nurturing is far more important in childhood development than discipline. And we know this because we can look at Mexican mothers who coddle their boys, and even though they are brats as children, they still develop into well-adjusted men based on the fact that they have a respect for the feminine side and based on their desire to please their mothers. Even if there is no father in the home, a boy will still receive masculine energy from society. He will receive discipline and structure from society. However, there is no substitute for the nurturing that a boy receives from his mother. If his mother does not provide nurturing, the boy will never receive it from society and will never properly develop into a man. The discussion that needs to be had that even if black women are single mothers, they still don't have to take on the masculine role. I don't know how much I can emphasize the fact that femininity is not a weakness. It is possible for single mothers to raise boys without taking on the masculine role. They can discipline in a feminine manner. It is not necessary to emasculate little boys by beating them into submission with extension cords. Because if a boy has a positive anima, that is, if he has a positive view of his mother in the feminine role, then he will respect his mother and women in general. Moreover, her feminine energy will allow him to be masculine. He will take on the role of the protector of his mother and other women. His discipline will come from his drive to protect his mother and to make her happy. But because black women are adopting a negative animus and displaying toxic masculinity in the rearing of children, these boys never develop a positive anima. So as I discussed in my previous live stream, these boys are either going to display toxic masculinity or toxic femininity. There's not going to be a balance between the masculine and feminine energies. Although my parents were divorced, I had the benefit of being raised by both parents. Both of my parents took on a masculine role. I received all discipline and no nurturing. The only nurturing that I received came from my grandma. So we hear the expression that it takes a village to raise a child. But in many situations, black parents are raising children in isolation. These children do not have the benefit of their extended family members, even when they are raised in single-parent households. At the end of the day, it should be about what is in the best interest of the children. These gender wars are not helpful to the extent that no one is taking responsibility and everyone is placing blame on someone else. People can sit up and say that since I don't have children, I don't know what I'm talking about. However, I still have the experience of being raised as a child. So I don't need to make the same mistakes that everyone else is making in order to learn from it. There is a lot of dysfunction within the black community, and no one is addressing the root causes. All they're doing is blame shifting. Although I was not a psychology major, I do read up on it. It's not that I'm an authority on all things or that I'm knowledgeable. I'm not. I'm still learning. But my main skill set is my ability to research. I don't have to be the authority on all things in order to make these assessments. So you can either blame black women for not being nurturing to their children, or you can blame black men for putting black women in the position of performing the masculine role. If that floats your boat, you can go down that rabbit hole. In my opinion, there is enough blame to go around. No one should be having children and raising them in dysfunctional environments. An important part of self-awareness is recognizing your own limitations. So if you know that you're incapable of being an effective parent, you have no business having children. And if you do decide to have children, you need to put your children's needs first and stop passing your dysfunction down to your children. Thanks for your support. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you will know when I upload new content.